Welcome to another episode of The American Dream. Our goal is to go against the grain of all that negative stuff you see in the media and educate, empower, and engage your American dream. You're going to love what we got on the rundown for today's show. We have Jimmy Graham, Navy SEAL, who started a program to help defend against an attack, men, women, children. He's going to teach you some things today. We're also going to dive into the market with a financial analyst. And, of course, we have to get into the real estate market. We've got Jesse Salas and Going Out in the Field with Gary Massa, all in one show here. Let's get it started right now. Every single day, you are consumed with information. With the 24/7 negative news cycle and a pop culture that's polluting the airwaves, all selling out for the ratings game. Well, guess what? There's a more positive way to look at life. You live in the greatest city in the greatest country on the planet. Every day with our elite network of professionals, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage. And now it's time to fight for your American dream. All right, now joining us on The American Dream, he is an American hero. I know these guys tend to be too modest to admit that, but they truly are. We love supporting our military. Jimmy Graham, Navy SEAL, and now the founder of the Able Shepherd program on The American Dream. Jimmy, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for your service. Could you share with us a little bit about your service as a Navy SEAL?
Yeah, I spent a little over 15 years in the SEAL teams. That's mixed with active duty and reserve time, and then was a protective officer after that for the federal government.
So with your service, it sounds like you're continuing to serve. You have started this Able Shepherd program. Tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. We have a facility called ASR Training Center. That stands for Active Shooter Response Training Center. And we started as a tactical training center for response for professionals, armed professionals initially, to respond to active shooter. Kind of a natural byproduct of this was actually kind of surprising to us is what we've created is a progressive program called Able Shepherd. And that's men and women that are coming in and learning how to defend themselves and one another. Our motto is take care of one another. And that program is growing rapidly. Obviously, there's violent encounters going on all over the world. We've had a pretty rough couple weeks, but that's what it's become as a community program.
So when you started this thing, there was a passion around it from your service. I know that you appreciated the camaraderie and the honor and the loyalty and teamwork that came with being a Navy SEAL. You started this, if I'm hearing you correctly, with police forces and people that actually need to be trained on a higher level, which there's nothing more elite than a Navy SEAL. That's where it started, and now you've moved to the public?
Absolutely. We started as more of like this public service kind of thing, and I had a buddy who accurately kind of summed it up. He said, you basically created what you needed. I'm like, absolutely, that camaraderie, teamwork, that accountability from the SEAL teams. I miss that, and quite frankly, I think a lot of veterans do. One thing that we can give back is that situational awareness and physical skills to defend yourself, whether it's a realtor alone with a client or it's a first responder that's rolling into an emergency situation. They need to have skills to kind of have that backup plan, just what if. I mean, we say faith, not fear, perception, not paranoia. We perceive what's going on by the news around us, but we're not living a life of fear.
Got it. So give us an example of your training.
So the training is progressive. It starts off unarmed, kind of scaled to anyone. We say elite level training, appropriately scaled for you, meaning that if it's a single mom coming in and she's looking for just familiarity with a firearm, then we can do that. But the way that we've trained in the past is called reality-based training. We give people an unarmed foundation. Then we can add firearms if they're comfortable with that, and we can just keep on going. We validate that with validation scenarios, meaning I've been in workplaces doing these active shooter type scenarios, or I've taken a group of guys off to and leased a private range. We have an indoor range in our facility, but also outdoors, and showing them these are the skills that are actually needed if you're going to be a physical stop against some kind of attacker.
Well, I can't help but just kind of go off record here and just say, or off track and say, that sounds like a lot of fun, to be honest with you, training with Navy SEALs on combat. But one of the things that you mentioned that I think is awesome for our audience here is you're not just working with guys like me or groups of guys. You mentioned realtors that might be going to look into a home, or single mothers and women in general. So you are actually helping people that might not have as much training or excitement. It's really more about defense and protecting themselves.
Absolutely, and I think that's the big allure and the surprising thing for me was how much fun I'm having doing this. When it was a job, it was exactly that, Not that it was a burden because I enjoyed it then, but I'm not just taking a group of strangers out to a range or to a facility or showing them these things. We're working with, kids, mothers, and their children and how to respond. I'll spend because it's progressive, 5 to 6 months with these people, and then go out and do it. So it's more like a bunch of buddies and family and friends going out and doing what's a really cool action. But everybody leaves there knowing that they could actually help other people.
Do you feel like there's more of an attraction to this now? I mean, every day you turn on the news, there's shootings everywhere. I feel like this training is something that everyone should go through. And I know there's a political argument on guns versus no gun zones. I don't even get into that, but do you feel like there's more of an attraction to what you're doing and how you're training people because people are maybe more nervous about being in public settings and the danger that's out there?
I absolutely do. I think this used to be what I jokingly called the gun show types, to where it was those people that just, they were into that kind of thing. And now everybody, literally everybody is having the same discussions about what would happen if you're going to a public setting, some kind of venue, you're saying, oh man, you're kind of having that what if in your mind. Now people are having those discussions and then talking to their kids, saying if something should happen, at least the bare minimum, let's stay together and let's move off in this direction. Again, it doesn't have to be this staring at the horizon waiting for ISIS or anything like that. It can be a Sunday picnic where you're hanging out, but then you just devote an hour to just say, hey kids, if something goes wrong, then maybe we call it link on. So grab onto the back of me and just stay with me. It can be a fun game kind of thing.
Well, I think it's awesome, and I think we desperately need it. We're trying to empower people with just being, I think, more aware of their surroundings. And, there's different laws on guns in different parts of town, certainly where this show airs. So we don't know what you can do where, but this idea of being able to handle a firearm, to be defensive, protect yourself, protect your family, and also just be aware. Nobody better to train than Jimmy Graham, Navy SEAL. This is the Able Shepherd program. Jimmy, thanks so much for your service, and thank you for coming on The American Dream. We appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. More of The American Dream coming up next.